Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach Yahushua. This is Teller Nicholas with the Noble House of St. Nicholas. Today, I want to do something. I want to cover the iniquities of our forgotten forefathers of the Dark Ages. You know, the ones that we wear the surnames to, alright? To remind y'all, our surnames was not created by the Caucasian Edomite wildman. Our surnames was created by our forefathers of the Dark Ages. And if we remember that, we will treat each other better, alright? We have families like the Kennedys, grim-headed kings of Carrick. Families like the McDuffs, son of the Black Mermaids of Fief. And even our last Negro king, King Charles Stewart, alright? So those with the surname Stewart, y'all come from a royal heritage, man. And this is mainly for my Israelites who know sound doctrine. Once you learn your surname history, you could bring this out to the forefront. And if you're a teacher, you could bring that out. And we all have the same surnames. And we could tie it back to the house of Israel because we come from them people, all right? We have the books, all right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into some of our ancestors of the British Isles. I'm going to go through some history, all right, to inform y'all where we come from because, yes, we are kings, but not of Africa, of Europe. I'm going to read a scripture before I do it. Leviticus 26 and 40. I'm going to go down. I'm going to only do 40. If they shall confess their iniquities and the iniquities of their fathers with their trespass, which they trespassed against me, and that also they have walked contrary unto me. I'm going to go down. And that I also have walked contrary unto them, and I have brought them unto the land of their enemies. If them their uncircumcised heart be humble, and they then accept of the punishment of their iniquities, then will I remember the covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham. Will I remember, and I will remember the land. So may I begin? Irish, Caribbean, and the Jacobite gleaning from Ireland through Barbados to Jamaica. And although the black heathens were expelled from these islands many centuries ago, and although as a distant race, they have also vanished from Europe. Sources: David Matt Ritchie, Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1, 1884. The colonies and plantations have been for some times back in dumping grounds for undesirables of all kinds, convicts, state criminals, whether political or religious, rebels, suspects, malcontents, fanatics, and deserters. On 31st July 1746, 5 weeks after Governor Propero's appeal for soldiers from Jacobite sources, applications was made for rebel prisoners being sent as recruits for regiments serving in North America and West Indies as follows: Leeward Islands 250, Jamaica 100, Cape Breton 400, and all 750. So that cut the doctrine that the Caucasians gave us our surnames. These men came from the Jacobites, came here with these surnames. All right, continuing. The first record of transportation in this rebellion was a 47 rebel shipped it at Liverpool on 26 April 1746 for the plantation. These were transported to the Montserrat in June. A description followed the 150 rebels which Mr. Smith took at Lincoln, York, and Lancaster prisons in October 1746. There was an Edinburgh writer, George Hume, age 30, marked as a black man whose color would no doubt suit the West Indies. Sources: J. Macbeth Forbes, Jacobite Gleanings from State Manuscripts, Short Sketches of Jacobites, The Transportation in 745, 1928. That the wild tribes of Ireland were black men, and hinted by the fact that a wild Irishman in Gaelic, a black Irishman dubbed Erinich. Some of natives of Scotland as well as England were of this Salakia of this race also. The wild Irishmen, black Irishmen, presumably of the same race, were the same Salakia. Irish Caribbean people who live in the Caribbean but are descent from people who were born in Ireland. Irish immigrants to the Caribbean dates back to the 17th century. Cromwell, after the sack of Drogheda, sold more than 30,000 Irish for Jamaica, Barbados, and Maastrat. Let that sink in. So-called black Irish people accounted for almost 70% of Maastrat's population by the late 17th century, thus registering the highest concentration of persons of Irish ethnicity of any colony in the history of both the First and Second English empires. Let that sink in. Whites account for only 2.7% of Montserrat population. Whites account for only 0.4% of the overall Jamaican population. So it most certainly wasn't them who got deported to the Caribbean islands. From 1641 to 1652, over 500,000 Irish were killed by the English and another 300,000 were sold as slaves. During the 1650s, over 100,000 Irish children between the age of 10 and 14 were taken from their parents and sold as slaves in the West Indies, Virginia, and New England. In this decade, 52,000 were sold to Barbados and Virginia. In 1666, 100 Irish rebels were deported to Barbados. And in 1685, after the collapse of Monmouth insurrection, 800 of his inhabitants were sent to enforce labor in the same colonies, and some also were transported to Jamaica. Disorderly persons and convicts were regularly shipped to America. Penal transportations or transportations was the relocations of convicted criminals or other persons regarded as undesirable to a distant place, often a colony for a specific term. For a specified term, later specifically established penal colonies became their destination. England transported its convict and political prisoners, as well as prisoners of war from Scotland and Ireland, to its overseas colonies in the Americas. From the 1610 until in America Revolution 1776, it transported to America was temporarily suspended by the Criminal Act of 1776. While the prisoners may have been released once the sentence was served, they generally did not have the resources to return home. Many offenders thus stayed in the American colonies as free persons, free Negroes. So this cut all the lies that was indoctrinated to us, stating that our surnames come from the Caucasians. When history proved we came here from England as the Jacobites. So we had to come here with names. All right. So this is Teller Nicholas, man, with the Noble House of St. Nicholas. I beg all my Hebrew Israelite scholars and all my preachers and teachers to use and learn your surname history. Learn and use your surname to will in the sheep. All right. Check this out. This is Teller Nicholas with the Noble House of St. Nicholas. I hope this video was edifying. Shalom.